The sky was on fire. Smoke rose into the air like black fingers. The ground shook. Buildings burned. Bodies lay still everywhere. Screams echoed far away. Vela ran, her leg bleeding, her armor cracked. She could barely hold her weapon now. Her hand shook. She had lost everything, her squad, her ship, her command. She was alone. Her people, the Zerati, had sent her to hold the line. Fight until death, they told her. Never surrender. She had done exactly that. But now, there was no one left to fight. Only silence. Only smoke. She limped past broken trees, stepping over the fallen. Some were her own kind. Some were enemies. It didn't matter anymore. She had failed. Her breath was shallow. Her side burned. A deep wound leaked blue blood down her waist. She fell to one knee, gasping. A small hill stood ahead. Just past it, she saw a large tree, one still standing. Her eyes locked on it. She would die there, not in the mud. Not like an animal. She would die standing, proud. With her last strength, she dragged herself up the hill, one step at a time. Every step was pain. Every breath harder than the last. Finally, she reached the tree. It stood tall, leaves red and gold, untouched by the war. It reminded her of home, of the great Zerati forest before the humans came. Vela leaned against the tree. Her weapon fell from her hand. She didn't pick it up. She closed her eyes. This is it, she thought. Let death take me now. I have no fear. She whispered an old battle prayer, voice weak. Let the stars remember me. Let my name be carried in the wind. And then crunch. A soft sound. Grass moved. A shadow. Vela opened her eyes slowly. Something was moving near her. Figure. 2 legs. Not Zerati. Not one of her kind. Human. She blinked. Her vision was blurred. The figure came closer. Crouched beside her. She saw eyes not cruel or cold, but soft and wide with concern. The human said something, but her ears rang. Then darkness. Va. Ela didn't feel cold. She felt warm. She was lying on something soft, not mud, not rock, something smooth. A bed? Her eyes opened. A ceiling. A roof. She sat up fast, heart racing. Pain shot through her ribs. She groaned, grabbing her side. Her wound was wrapped clean. Bandages, tight but gentle. She looked around. Small room. Wood walls. A fire in the corner. A chair. A table. A window. Then footsteps. She turned. A human entered. Male, tall, short, dark beard. Wearing strange, soft clothes. He paused when he saw her awake. Then he smiled small, careful. You're up, he said. Vela stared. She didn't speak. Her throat was dry. Her hand reached under the blanket. No weapon. The man walked slowly, showing his hands. He held a bowl. Something warm inside. Steam rose from it. Food, he said. Not poisoned, I swear. He placed the bowl on the table near her bed and stepped back. Vela looked down at herself. She wore soft cloth. Her armor was gone. Panic hit her. Where? Her voice cracked. Where is my armor? The man pointed. There, I cleaned it. It was full of blood and smoke. Her eyes flicked to the corner. Her armor was folded on a chair, helmet placed carefully on top. You saved me? She asked. He nodded. Found you near the tree. You looked half dead. Why? She asked, voice colder now. Why help an enemy? He didn't answer right away. He looked at the fire. Then he said, you were hurt. That's all I saw. Silence filled the room. Vela's fingers wrapped around the spoon. Her grip was tight like holding a blade. Are you going to kill me? She asked. He raised an eyebrow. Do I look like someone who wants to fight? She didn't reply. Her eyes didn't leave him. You can leave whenever you want, he said. You're not a prisoner. But if you step outside too soon, you might die. You're still healing. Vela looked at the food. It smelled strange, but not bad. "I don't trust you," she said. "That's fair," he replied. "But I'm not your enemy." Vela didn't move. Her eyes narrowed. Outside, wind howled. Inside, the fire crackled. She was alive, but she didn't know why, and she didn't know what this human wanted. Not yet. She didn't move. For hours, Vela lay still. In that bed, eyes half shut, breathing steady. But her mind was sharp, watching, listening. She was not resting. She was waiting. The human moved around the small cabin, never getting too close. He chopped wood, fed the fire, cleaned a pan. Always calm, like he had nothing to hide. But Vela knew better. No one is ever that kind for free. When he left the room for a moment, she slid her hand under the blanket. Found nothing sharp, no blade, no tool. Just cloth. She hated the feeling. Powerless, weak. He came back, holding a clean shirt. "Thought you might want this," he said, placing it near her folded armor. She didn't answer. Didn't blink. He looked at her for a moment, then gave a small nod. "Right, still not talking to me." He left again. As soon as the door clicked shut behind him, Vela swung her legs out of the bed. Pain screamed through her ribs, but she stood anyway. She stumbled, caught herself on the table. She reached the chair. Her armor was there. She grabbed the chest piece and ran her hand along the edge. Good, nothing missing, but the energy cells were dead. She was too weak to charge them, still. Armor was armor. Piece by piece, she put it on. Her movements were slow, but careful. Her body remembered the pattern. Her head swam. She leaned against the wall, breathing heavy. But she was standing. The door opened again. The human froze. "You shouldn't be up," he said. "You'll tear your stitches." Vela didn't answer. "Okay," he said slowly, putting down what looked like a bag of dried fruit. "Want to talk?" She stayed quiet. He sat down near the fire and stared into the flames. "Name's Mark, not that you care." Still no answer. "I used to be a soldier," he added, "years ago. Back when humans and Zerati were still shooting each other every day." Vela tensed. Her people's name from his mouth felt strange. "I left the war," he said. Got tired of being told who the enemy was. Silence again. Then he turned his head just a little. "What's your name?" She said nothing. He sighed. "Right, fine. You can keep acting like a statue. But I'm not going to hurt you. If I wanted you dead, you'd already be in the ground." That made her speak. "You should have left me to die." Mark raised his eyebrows. "Why?" "I am a warrior," she said coldly. "I was ready. You stole my death from me." Mark looked amused. "You sound like a poet and a fighter, weird mix." She frowned. "Is this some kind of trick?" "Nope," he said. "You fell down under a tree. You were bleeding. I patched you up. That's it." Vela's voice was bitter. "Why help an enemy?" Mark leaned back in his chair. "Because you didn't look like an enemy. You looked like someone who needed help." His answer made her pause. Not because she believed it, but because no one had ever said something like that to her. After a long moment, she asked, "Do you live here alone?" He nodded. "Far from everyone. Suits me." "No family?" He shook his head. "No one left." A strange quiet filled the room. She sat down again, armor clicking softly. "Why keep me here?" "You're not a prisoner." "Then I can leave?" "If you want to bleed out in the forest, sure. But you're not strong enough yet. Give it another day or two." Vela hated it, but he was right. Her side still ached. Her head spun. She looked at him for a long time. "If you try anything, I will kill you." Mark gave a short laugh. "Fair enough." She finally reached for the food. Dried fruit. Chewy. Sweet. It surprised her. Mark saw her eat and gave a small smile. "See? Not poisoned." Vela stared at the fire. Her guard was still up. Her hand stayed near a sharp spoon she had sharpened secretly. But for now, she stayed, not because she trusted him, but because she had nowhere else to go. The whisper came first, soft, faint, not human, not natural. Vela's eyes snapped open in the dark. She wasn't dreaming. She sat up in bed listening. There it was again, a low growl just outside the cabin walls. Something heavy stepped through. The leaves, then another, and another. She reached for the small blade she had made from a spoon. The human, Mark, was still asleep in the chair by the fire, arms crossed, head down. He didn't hear it. She stood quietly, limping toward the window. The sky was deep black. No moon. No stars, but something moved in the shadows, four-legged, big, eyes glowing yellow, not animals. Not hers, not his. Hunters. She turned and shook Mark's shoulder hard. Wake up. He jolted, hand going straight to the rifle under the table. What is it? We're not alone. Mark listened. The growl came again, closer this time. He stood up, loaded his rifle in one smooth motion. How many? I saw 3, maybe more. Could be forest wolves, he said. No, she said sharply. They walk wrong, too quiet, too smart. Mark looked toward the door. Defense walls half done. Back windows loose. If they break in, they won't leave survivors. Mark nodded once. No more words. He handed her a second weapon, a short, sharp survival knife. She took it, checking the edge. Good steel. Outside, silence returned. Too quiet. Then crashed. A window shattered in the back. They moved fast. Mark pointed toward the back room. Though, Vela ducked low, her armor still not fully powered, but enough to move. Her side burned with each breath, but she didn't stop. The cabin shook. Something heavy slammed into the door. Mark aimed, fired. A roar followed. Vela reached the back window just in time to see one of the creatures crawl halfway through. She drove the knife deep into its throat. Warm black blood sprayed her face. The thing squealed and dropped outside. Another one came. Right after. This time she kicked it hard, cracking its jaw. Mark was there in seconds, slamming the butt of his rifle into its skull. The cabin smelled like sweat, blood, and gunpowder. Vela shouted, "Why are they attacking?" Mark grunted, "They're not animals. They're trained. Someone sent them." Third creature crashed through the front door, claws slashing. Vela rolled, slashing upward. Mark shot twice. The thing finally dropped. More outside. They couldn't win if they stayed inside. This way. Mark yelled, grabbing a flare from the wall. He threw it through the window. Bright red light lit the trees and revealed 6 more figures moving in. Vela cursed in her native tongue. "We can't fight all of them." Mark tossed her a smoke bomb. "But we can confuse them." He threw it into the front yard. Smoke exploded in thick clouds. "Run to the old bunker," he said. "South side, 40 meters. They jumped out. Together, landing hard in the wet grass. The smoke hid them. The creatures screamed behind. Vela ran, holding her ribs, slipping through trees. Mark followed close, rifle ready. They reached a small metal door hidden under a rock slope. Mark yanked it open, pushed her inside, and jumped in after her. He slammed it shut and turned the lock. Darkness. Silence. Then. Breathing. Fast. Loud. They sat in the dark bunker. Vela wiped blood from her face. Her eyes glowed faintly in the dark. "You okay?" Mark asked. She nodded. "Nothing new. They were trained," he said again. "I've seen them before. Genetic beasts, used by merc squads." She looked at him. "Someone wants us dead." "Correction," he said. "Someone wants you dead." Vela clenched her fists. "I thought I died already," she whispered. "But it looks like my enemies weren't finished." Mark reached for a small battery lamp and clicked it on. The light filled the small space with a dim yellow glow. Vela looked around. The bunker was tight but stocked food, tools, weapons. You built all this? She asked. He nodded. I've lived here a long time. Learned not to trust peaceful. Days. Vela sat down on the floor, her back against the wall. She had fought alone her whole life, for her people. For honor. For survival. Now, she had fought beside a human. And he hadn't run. He had stayed. Tomorrow, she said, we find out who sent them. Mark gave a small smile. Glad to see you're not planning to leave. She didn't smile back, but she didn't deny it either. The photo fell out of the book. Vela picked it up slowly, her fingers shaking. It was old, faded, a small square of human paper, a human, and a Zerati, standing side by side, smiling, not just any Zerati. Her eyes filled with disbelief that it was her sister. Hours had passed since the attack. The creatures were gone. The forest was quiet again. Mark had gone to check the damage. Vela stayed behind in the bunker, silent. She wasn't looking for anything, just trying to pass time. But then she opened an old book on the shelf, and the photo slipped out. She stared at it. Her sister's eyes, her sharp jaw, the silver lines in her armor, no mistake. Vela whispered her name, Laya. So many memories came back. Her sister's voice, her laughter, her stubbornness. She had vanished during the war, never found. Everyone thought she died, but here proof she had survived. And stood next to a human. Next to Mark. When Mark returned to the bunker, he looked tired, scratched, covered in dirt and smoke. Before he could speak, Vela stepped forward and held out the photo. Explain this. He froze. His face changed. Like a ghost had touched him. He took the photo gently, looked at it, then sat down, quiet. I never thought I'd see her again, he said. She saved my life. Vela didn't blink. How? Did you meet her? He sighed. 6 years ago. The war was still going, but slower. I was part of a peace scouting team. We weren't supposed to engage anyone. Just look and report. He paused. His voice lowered. Our ship got shot down. I was the only one left alive. My leg was broken. I crawled for miles until I passed out. Vela stared at him, eyes cold but listening. She found me, your sister. I don't know why. She could have killed me, but instead, she carried me. Built a fire, gave me food. That doesn't sound like her, Vela said, almost angry. Mark smiled slightly. She told me that too. Said she was tired of orders. Said saving one life was better than taking 10. Vela felt her throat tighten. She remembered that side of Laya, the one that questioned, that cared too much. Mark looked at the photo again. We stayed hidden for 10 days, talked a lot. She taught me some of your language. I taught her old Earth songs. She never came back, Vela said. We searched for weeks. I know, Mark said. She told me not to tell anyone. She said she wanted to disappear. She was tired of war. Vela sat down beside him. The silence was thick, heavy. She's gone now, Mark said, voice soft. She died protecting me from a sniper. Pulled me behind cover. Took the shot. Herself. Vela looked down. Her fingers curled tightly. She was supposed to die like a warrior, she whispered. Not like that. Not in the shadows. Mark didn't speak. Then, after a long moment, he said, she died with a smile. Said she finally did something that mattered. Vela turned her face away. Not crying but close. For a long time neither of them spoke. Finally she asked, why did you keep the photo? Because it reminded me that not all Zerati wanted war. That not all humans are monsters. It reminded me I was alive. Because someone chose peace. Vela stood. Walked to the far side of the room. Thought hard. Her voice was low when she spoke again. My people think all humans are cruel. Mark nodded. Most humans think the same about Zerati. But you saved me. You saved me first. They looked at each other. Something had shifted. A wall had cracked. She used to sing, Vela said suddenly. When I couldn't sleep, little songs. About the stars. Mark smiled faintly. She hummed one we hid in a cave. I didn't understand the words, but it helped. Vela sat back down. Maybe we both lost too much. Mark looked at her, eyes serious. Maybe we can stop losing, together. She didn't answer right away, but for the first time since waking in his bed, she didn't feel like a prisoner. She felt like something had been returned, not her home. Not her old life, but a small piece of her sister, and maybe a reason to stay. The signal came at midnight, a soft beep. Just once, from the old communicator buried under Mark's floorboards. Vela heard it first. Her warrior instincts woke her even before the sound. She stood in the dark, alert, heart-pounding. Mark sat up gradually. What was that? Vela pointed. Under the floor. Mark's face changed. No one should have that frequency. They pulled the board up together. The old military device was still dusty, its screen dim. But the signal was clear. One word blinked slowly on the screen. Confirm. Vela's blood turned cold. That wasn't a distress call. That was a hunter code, a check-in. Meant for someone hiding. Someone being tracked. It's them, she said. They're still looking for me. Later that morning, the forest felt wrong, too quiet. Even the birds had gone still. Vela stood on the roof, scanning the trees through an old pair of binoculars. Movement, she said softly. West side, 100 meters. Mark looked through his scope. Too big for a deer, not enough noise for a person. Could be drones, he nodded. Could be worse. Vela climbed down. We need traps. They worked together quickly. Wire traps, spike pits. Noise sensors using cans and string. Mark checked his shotgun. Loaded it. I thought after the last attack they'd back off. They don't stop, Vela said. Zarati command wants me gone. They sent slavers first. Now they're sending proper killers. Mark frowned. All this for one soldier? Vela looked him in the eye. Not just a soldier. I know something. They don't want shared. A truth I saw before they left me to die. Mark waited. But she didn't say more. Not yet. That night, the first shadow appeared. Just past the fence, it stood between two trees tall, with thin armor, glowing eyes. Mark aimed his rifle. It's not moving. It's watching, Vela said. Then it vanished. They didn't sleep. Around midnight, a screech tore through the trees. One of the traps snapped shut, something metal hitting spikes. They rushed out, weapons ready. A body lay in the dirt. Not human. Not Zarati. A half-machine hunter drone, long limbs, sharp teeth, broken neck. Mark stared. They're sending machines now. They won't stop until I'm dead. Vela's voice was steady, but her hands were tight. Mark looked at her. What do they fear? She hesitated. I heard a transmission before my team died, she said. Our generals were planning something, a full burn. Not just war. Extermination of humans. They were going to make it look like your fault. Mark's jaw clenched. A false war. They left me because I heard too much. Now they want to erase the proof. Mark stepped closer. Then we won't let them. She stared at him. You'll die with me, he shrugged. We've come this far. By dawn, they had set up defenses across the clearing. Mark had rigged explosive flares. Vela sharpened metal stakes. The cabin was now a battlefield when the next attack came. It was fast, no sound. Just movement. Vela saw the Flash 2 hunters diving through the air. She grabbed her spear, now wired with shock coils. She drove it into the first one's chest. Sparks flew. The machine screamed. Mark fired 3 rounds. Took down the second. Then 5 more came through the trees. It was chaos, fire, smoke, screams. Vela fought like she was born for this. Every strike was perfect. Every dodge saved her life. Mark moved beside her, calm and fast. They didn't talk. They didn't need to. They were a team now. An hour later, the battlefield was still. Burnt earth. Broken machines. Vela knelt by the last body, a hunter captain. She tore something from its chest. A small, silver cube. Mark leaned in. "What is that?" "A memory core," she said. "It'll show who sent them. Maybe even where they are." She looked at him. Her voice quiet. "If we run, they'll follow. If we fight here, we die next time." Mark nodded. "Then we take the fight to them." Vela gave a rare smile. "We hunt the hunters." The message played once, then deleted itself. Vela sat frozen, staring at the small cube's cracked screen. Mark stood behind her, silent. The voice in the message was clear, cold, familiar. "You are a traitor. Vela, the human dies tonight unless you surrender yourself. Come alone." No name, no place, just coordinates. A location in the deep woods. Mark didn't move, didn't speak. He had heard everything. Vela slowly turned off the cube. Her face was blank, but her heart burned. "They know I won't let you die," she said. Mark crossed his arms. "Then they don't know me either." The wind howled through the trees as the sun disappeared. The air felt different, heavy with choice, like the forest itself was waiting. Mark stood by the window, checking weapons. "We can take them, together." Vela shook her head. "Not this time. They want me. You're a tool to them. Bait." She placed her armor on the table. "Piece by piece." "I'm not running," Mark said. Vela looked up. "I'm not asking you to." Silence stretched between them. Then she spoke again. "I used to believe there was honor in dying for the mission. Now I don't know what honor means anymore." Mark gave her a long look. "Maybe it means choosing life when everything tells you to die." She smiled slightly. "That sounds like something my sister would say." Vela stepped into the clearing at midnight. Alone. No armor, no blade, just her. Her arms were raised. Her face calm. She walked slowly toward the shadowy figures waiting between the trees. 6 of them. All Zerati. Fully armed. No words. One stepped forward. A tall female commander with dark armor and glowing eyes. "Vela," she said coldly. "You were warned." Vela stopped a few steps away. "Let the human go. I came." The commander laughed. "You think we care about deals? You're both dead." That's when Vela smiled, and behind her, 3 hidden flares exploded, blinding light across the trees. Mark opened fire from the ridge. Vela spun low, grabbing the small knife she had hidden under her tunic. The ambush began. The forest turned into chaos. Zerati soldiers scrambled as traps exploded under their feet. Net guns fired from hidden trees. A few fell immediately, confused, disoriented. Vela ran into the center, dodging blasts. She disarmed one soldier with a twist of her hand, catching his weapon mid-air and firing before he hit the ground. Mark covered her from above, moving between trees like a ghost. His shots were precise, everyone saving her from death. It wasn't a war. It was justice. Minutes later, smoke filled the air. Vela stood over the last commander, who was now on her knees, coughing blood. "You were dead," the commander whispered. "You were finished." Vela knelt beside her. "You should have made sure." The commander spat blood. "You'll never be safe. They'll send more, higher ranks." Vela stood. "Then I'll climb higher too." She raised her weapon. The commander didn't beg, but Vela didn't fire. Instead, she turned away. "Let them see we're not like them." Back at the cabin, the fire crackled again. Mark stitched up a cut on Vela's arm. "You had a clear shot," he said. "Why? Let her live?" "Because someone has to stop the killing," she said. He nodded. "That's a dangerous choice. I've made worse." She leaned back in the chair, tired but alive. For the first time, her body didn't feel like it was made of weapons. It felt human. Mark handed her tea. You really came alone. Vela looked at him, serious. I chose to. My life doesn't belong to a mission anymore. He raised his cup. To choices. She clinked hers gently against his. To not dying. Outside, the wind blew through the trees again. The night was still, but in the silence, both of them knew this wasn't over. The real war hadn't started yet, but this time, they would fight it together. She didn't dream of war anymore, not fire, not blood, not screaming orders in her sleep. This time, Vela dreamed of stars that they floated above her, soft and distant, like silver dust. She heard music, faint humming, and her sister's voice, laughing gently from somewhere far away. Then the smell of wood smoke pulled her back. She opened her eyes. The sun was rising through the cabin window. Mark was already awake, sitting outside on a log, sharpening tools. The air smelled like pine and hot tea. Vela stepped out, a blanket wrapped around her shoulders. Her ribs still ached, but not like before. Morning, he said. She sat beside him. Said nothing at first. Just listen to the birds, I used to wonder if I could ever feel peace again, she said. Now I don't wonder, I just listen. Mark smiled. That's progress. Vela glanced at the trees. No scouts today, no movement. Nothing strange, just quiet. For once, it wasn't suspicious. It was welcome. Over the next few days, they rebuilt the cabin together, fixed the roof, reinforced the walls, set up a better fence. Not just for safety but for living. Vela started planting vegetables. She didn't know much about farming, but Mark taught her. She taught him how to fight blindfolded. He wasn't good at first, but he laughed, and so did she. They laughed a lot more now, not because everything was perfect, but because they were still here. One evening, a ship passed overhead, silent, fast and distant. It didn't stop, didn't scan, just moved through the sky like a shadow. Mark watched it with narrowed eyes. Could have been anyone, he said. Vela nodded. They're watching, maybe waiting, but we're not running. No, she said. Let them come. She had something now she never had before. A place, a name outside her uniform, a reason to live. Later, while cleaning out the old storage bunker, Mark found something he hadn't seen in years. A sealed envelope. Inside, a paper document with a stamped dot. It was a deed. The land, the cabin, it was all officially his. He walked back inside and dropped the paper on the table in front of Vela. She looked at it, confused. What is this? My land rights. Government gave them to me after the war. Never used them, until now. She looked up. Why show me this? He hesitated, then said, because I want you to sign your name beside mine. Vela stared at him. You're giving me part of your land? No, he said. I'm giving you part of your life, if you want it. She didn't answer right away. She touched the paper, felt the edges. No one had ever offered her a place not without chains. Not without wanting something in return. I don't have a name that fits on earth paper, she said quietly. Then pick one, Mark said. Start fresh. That night, she stood under the stars again, the same ones she saw in her dream. But this time, she wasn't running. She wasn't hiding. She wasn't just surviving. She was choosing. She picked up a stick and began to write something in the dirt. Letters, slow and careful. Her new name, one she made herself. Weeks passed. Months. People started to visit, wandering survivors, old soldiers, scared families. Word spread about the cabin with strong walls and stronger hearts. Vela trained the newcomers, showed them how to fight, how to heal, how to grow food. She became more than a warrior. She became a protector. Mark built a radio tower. Not to call for help, but to send a message. You are not alone. Come if you want peace. Come if you want to fight for something better. One night, A young Zerati girl arrived, limping, tired. Afraid, Vela wrapped a blanket around her shoulders and gave her hot soup. The girl looked up and whispered, "Are you really Vela the warrior?" Vela smiled softly. "I was." The girl asked, "What are you now?" Vela looked out at the cabin, the people, the light inside, and the stars above. Then she said, "Now, I'm home."